Hello and welcome to the Daily Racing Form webinar. It's an intro to exchange wagering today. It's brought to you by Daily Racing Form and Betfair US. Exchange wagering, one of the most exciting developments to happen in USA racing in many years, subject near and dear to my heart. So happy to be a part of this presentation today and be bringing this information to all of you out there in the audience. If you want to go back and revisit this webinar at any point, it will be archived, and you'll be able to find that archive at drf.com/YouTube. Our very special guest today is Bart Barden. He's the Exchange Director for Betfair US. Bart, I want to start the show today by just getting a little bit of information about who you are and what your role is at Betfair US.
Sure. Thanks for the intro. I hope everyone is going to have a good informed session here, and feel free to ask me questions. So I started at Betfair about 3 years ago. I actually came over from the US and live in Ireland to run the UK exchange from the commercial and product side. Did that for a while, and then this opportunity came up, which was our other attempt to bring the exchange to the U.S. I jumped at the chance, given the excitement and kind of bridging both of my loves of racing and wagering, and then my love of the exchange as a platform. And after several years of work, we finally got a regulation, and we are able to operate the exchange in New Jersey. So that brings us to today.
That's great. We're going to be going over all of that stuff in detail, exactly what the exchange is, how folks can get started betting on it. Helping us do that is going to be Daily Racing Form's Director of Product Marketing, Mike Hogan. You might know him from Twitter as @DRF Formulator, or as the co-host of DRF Players podcast with yours truly. Mike, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Pete. I'm excited to be on with you and Bart, and excited to learn a little bit more about exchange wagering. I think it's a really interesting new opportunity for horse players, and it's now here for those that are living in New Jersey and in the state of New Jersey when they're actually wagering. So today we're going to go through some basics. Bart's going to show a video in a moment about what exchange wagering is. It's only about a 5-minute video, but it's pretty informative. Then we're going to deal with some logistics for those New Jersey residents that are able to bet on the exchange now. Things like creating accounts and logging in, covering some of the nuts and bolts details. And then we're going to log in, and we're actually going to play around in the exchange. This is the exciting part of it, I think. We're going to look at Woodbine Race 6, which is set to go off in about 20 minutes or so. And we'll be answering questions throughout the show, but at the end we'll have a question and answer session if there's any we didn't get to. The way you ask the questions is through the webinar channel tool itself on the upper right portion of your screen. Just submit the questions. They'll come through to me, and I'll break in to Pete and Bart at the appropriate time to get your questions answered. So with that in mind, Bart, I'm going to switch it over to your screen. So once you accept, then we'll be off and running.
Okay, great. So this is a video. It is up on the Betfair USA Twitter page, but just to give everyone a good intro into what the exchange is and means, we'd like to show this, and then we'll dive into the product direct. So here we go.
For the people of New Jersey, Betfair is taking legal online horse racing wagering to the next level. The Betfair Exchange. Wagering on horse racing in America hasn't changed in 100 years, using only a pari-mutuel system in which all bets of a particular type are placed together in a pool. Upon the result, both taxes and the vig are removed, where the payoff odds are calculated by sharing the pool among all winning bets. Now Betfair's betting exchange is bringing unprecedented choice and value. Launched in 1999, Betfair is a legal and regulated online betting platform, part of the FTSE 100 listed Paddy Power Betfair Group, the world's largest listed online gaming company. 4 million registered exchange customers make it the world's #1 betting exchange, hosting over 1 billion transactions every year. The Betfair Exchange uses pioneering peer-to-peer technology to allow buyers and sellers to choose their own odds and simply bet against each other. There are 5 key factors that make this product unique. First, betting peer-to-peer means you always bet the best odds in the market at that time. Second, the odds are locked when your bet is placed. So, this is radically different than the traditional pari-mutuel system, where odds fluctuate and are only final the moment the race goes off. With Betfair, you can lock your odds when you like your odds. Third, the exchange offers incredible value to bettors, as commission is charged only on winning bets. And fourth, the Betfair Exchange offers a cash-out option. When cash-out is available, players can take their profit or cut their losses at any time. And fifth, bettors can still wager while a race is in progress, an exciting option known as in-play wagering. Now consider the 2009 Breeders' Cup Classic. In the final turn, Zenyatta began to make her famous late move. Turning for home, Zenyatta's odds were valued at 6-1, just before she began to make her run at history. In the stretch, with every stride, her in-play odds fell dramatically.
This is unbelievable! Zenyatta! What a performance! One we'll never forget!
So it's no surprise that up to 25% of wagering volume can happen in play and after the race has begun. With more choice and value than ever before, the wait is over. Welcome to Betfair. Visit Betfair.com.
Pretty cool stuff there. Always any excuse to rewatch that 2009 Breeders' Cup stretch drive run with Zenyatta giving us all chills, and that's really a perfect illustration of how in-play betting works. But there's so much more to Betfair than just the in-play wagering. What do we want to start? Which aspect should we start talking about today, Bart, as we break down the benefits of exchange wagering with the audience in the webinar?
Yeah, so now that I got everyone excited on the webinar, I need to go through a little legalese and terms and conditions. So we'll start with the boring stuff and then hopefully get into the product. I'll just start and give everyone kind of an overview. I mean, obviously, this is an amazing product, and New Jersey, it's a first in New Jersey. So we have some very strict regulatory guidelines for using the exchange. Okay, so let me just go through them kind of at a high level. Number one, you must be a New Jersey resident to sign up for an account, very similar to 4J Bets. But the difference is you have to be in the state. Once you have an account, in order to use the exchange, you must be in the state of New Jersey. Okay, much like some of the online casino products are here as well. We use very strict geo-targeting based software in order to do that. So as you sign up and look to access the site, just remember that we would love to make it open to everyone, but we obviously have our regulatory requirements that we must adhere to and support. So there are extra checks and there are extra settings that may cause kind of customer angst that you have to go through, and we're doing everything we can to make it as streamlined as we can around obviously supporting the regulations that have been put upon the product. So that's kind of the basics. So kind of the 3 steps to get going is you would go and log in, click to log in for an account. You'd go through a registration process. Again, for some of the people on this call who are already 4J Bets customers, you don't have to sign up for an account. You are automatically have access to the exchange with your existing 4J Bets account. You just have to sign in, log in. So I was logged in here. Let me log out.
just to reiterate what Bart was talking about, if you're an existing 4NJ Bets customer, you don't have to do this step. After we show the login process, we'll go ahead and show what you do if you're not already a 4NJ Bets customer.
Right. So let me just let me go through the homepage here for a minute, and just walk through what you're seeing. So this is kind of when you first visit the site, you're seeing the page. It shows your next races and the races that are available down here in the corner. And then I'm just going to stop sharing for a minute, Mike, here for a second, and just go and do a quick, I need a setting out of my email here for a second. So just one minute, and then I will log back in.
Sounds good.
No problem.
In the meantime, we're going to be taking a look at this race at Woodbine in a few minutes. We've currently got 9 minutes to post there, so that's something if folks are following along or have looked at that race already, something we'll be talking about in a minute to show some of this stuff in practice. We're also going to go into some of the specifics about what makes exchange wagering special, especially the ability to bet at fixed odds, the ability to bet on and against your opinions in races. It gives you another very important club in your bag that will allow you to fully leverage your opinion. We'll also talk a little bit about trading. Just like on a currency exchange, on the betting exchange, you have an opportunity to create, you'll find arbitrage situations based on how the market moves, and you can at times cash out your opinion, so no matter what happens, you end up in the green. These are just some of the exciting aspects of the new Betfair platform we're going to be talking about in the next 45 minutes or so.
So, Mike, can you guys see my screen again? Sorry about that. I'm
Yes.
back. Yep. Okay,
No,
great.
no problem. Yep.
Good. So I'll continue. So here is where a customer is going to enter, log in with their either with their new exchange information or with their existing 4NJ Bets information. As you can see here, we need this checkbox to be accepted that you are in the state of New Jersey and accept our Betfair terms and conditions. So this is how we know you're an exchange customer, okay? So that's very important to do as you log in. Okay, and the very first thing that everyone needs to remember, that like very, very important is we wanted to make a 4NJ Bets customer not have to re-register for the exchange, but the wallets are separate. Okay, so what you need to do is, if you see here, there's two balances. There's an exchange balance and a 4NJ Bets balance. Okay, if you are a new customer depositing new, all your money will be in your what we call your 4NJ Bets wallet. Okay, so you need to go in here and do a quick transfer to transfer the money from your 4NJ Bets wallet into the exchange wallet to get going on the exchange. If your balance reads 0 on the exchange will think you don't have enough funds. So I just transferred $5 over here, as you can see, and it won't think you have enough funds to do your bet. Okay, so that's very important to do. So it's kind of, as I was saying before, it's make sure your geolocation adheres and some of those settings, log in, and then transfer. Those are kind of the steps to get you going. Once you do that, you're now ready and going. Mike's perfect timing here. The race is 6 minutes to post from our publish from the start post date. It might be a little bit different on the actual race right now. And now you're into the product. Okay? So the great things that you're going to see here, I think the number one thing to stress upon is all of these prices here is what we're calling global or shared liquidity. So this is everyone betting into this, both from inside of New Jersey as well as outside of New Jersey, who would have a Betfair account and can bet Woodbine. So this is what we're calling, it's not only New Jersey people betting against New Jersey people, it's everyone coming in. That allows a couple things. One, better prices, and two, it allows for more available betting volume, so allowing you to do larger bets if you would like to get that done. So really quick, you can see the horse is here, right? Your runners, and then you have your what we call your bet for price and your bet against price, right? So in this case, what you are saying is, if you believe that Timberline is a goer in this race, you can get it at 375. Now, as you notice, these are decimals, okay? And the reason we need to have decimal odds on the exchange is because we need it from a trading perspective and backing and laying. We can't have rounding issues or error that fractions could present. Therefore, we need to present the odds to you in decimal form. Now, kind of the simple. Go ahead.
The great thing for the horse player about decimal odds is one of the sort of evils of horse playing in the tote sense is breakage, and how very often, because you're not getting paid out to the penny, numbers are getting rounded down for you. That problem doesn't happen with exchange wagering, and that means more money going right back into horse players' pockets. And one of the reasons to pay attention, of course, it does take a little bit of getting used to. A lot of people, Bart, watching here probably don't really know what 3.75 even means.
Yep. So let me tell you the easiest way to do it, and we have some really good help videos on site that I can kind of submit to everyone, some links about decimal odds and everything. But really, the easiest thing to translate for decimal odds is it's takeaway 1. Right, so it's 3.4 is basically you're saying I'm profiting 550 and well in this case 375. Your translation is subtract 1, and then if you convert it into fractions, that's what you can do. Now, if you don't just want to be easy, we do it for you. So if you just hover the mouse over any price on our interface, we're translating it into a fractional odd for you. If you guys can see that.
Yeah, that's an absolute benefit. I mean, right. The easiest way to describe the -1 thing is just think of it as 4.0 is 3 to 1, 5.0 4 to 1, and you can see even now some of the differences. If folks have the screen up of Woodbine and also the webinar, you can see how the numbers are sometimes the same between the tote price and the exchange price, and sometimes they're a little bit different, and that's where things can get really interesting.
Yep. So I'm just going to take a position, everyone, here on Timberline, okay? And I'm going to just close that out real quick. So I'm going to come here, and I'm going to try to take a position for $2 stake, okay? So you place, you confirm, I have been matched, okay? Matched means that someone else has decided that that is a bet that they wish to take on the other side, and I've been matched for $2 at 3.6 for a profit of 5.10. Okay, so that is my odds. If you see it moving now, and we'll see if it changes at some point, into the off, after the race, until the finish, I own that bet at 3.6. So if everyone starts jumping on Timberline and the odds drop from 3.6 to let's say 3.2 or you know 2 to 1, if you will, closer to 2 to 1. If it wins, I get paid out at 3.6. Not what it started out at the race. That's the liking your odds, you know, locking your odds when you like your odds concept. It's wonderful. One of the other things that we go ahead.
I was just going to mention how many times you're playing the horses and you take that horse at 5 to 2, and the late money comes in, and the horse goes off at 8 to 5, and of course, maybe you wouldn't have even made the bet at 8 to 5, but you love the price at 5 to 2. Betfair offers you the opportunity to lock in that price. It allows you to bet with more confidence. I also believe it helps in your development as a player to be able to take win prices and sort of get a great sense of value because you're actually getting the price that you want.
The other features that we have is we support 3 markets: the win, the place, and the show. Right. So 1 to place, 2 to place, 3 to place. Those are up here, and you can see that there's the odds will change in the place market as compared to the win market because obviously you're betting that horse, but the concepts are identical. Okay.
We're loading here. If we want to bring up Bart, if you have a way to bring up the video, we can watch this race and watch what happens to our position as the race goes on.
Yeah. So let me see. I'll see if I can load up the video. What I almost like to show is watching the prices change. Well, let's see. Like I want to see if I can show some prices so I can stay on and do some manipulation. But let me just get into this. Let me just get into this kind of exposure. If you can see here on the left, guys, underneath each runner, you can see that if 3 horse wins, I stand to make $5.20. If any of the other horse win, I stand to lose 2. So if I take another position on dibs, for example, at 2, so what happened here is this is unmatched. So we will only give you the best price. So I requested 4.6, and by the time I clicked place, the odds moved away. They moved from 4.6 down to 4.5 temporarily. So we don't match you at a worse odds than you asked for. So we leave it unmatched until the prices come into your favor. Now, I believe what happened is the price then slipped back into, and my bet was matched, if you can see that, right? So we only ever match you at best price, or what we call best odds. We never match you for less than what you're asking for. But if dibs would have moved ahead, we would match you at the better price. So we only give you the better price or the price you asked for anytime you're taking odds on the exchange.
Meanwhile, look at all the steam that's come in on Timberline, who we locked in a price of 3.6 and is now into 2.5, shorter than 3 to 2 now. This is exactly what we're talking about when we talk about trading.
Yes.
The example works better when you're dealing with larger units of money, but if you have a sizable position at 3.6 and the price steams into 2.5, you can all of a sudden now decide to just take your profit before the race is run. Bart, maybe explain a little bit about how that would work, what the easiest way to do that would be.
Yeah, so the easiest way to do it is you then bet against your same horse. So in effect, let's do that very quickly. I want to take some money off the table of Timberline. Let's hopefully. So now, if you guys see the $2, I've taken the $2 bet I made on Timberline. I've taken off the table. Now I got to take it off of dibs too, so we can show the true aspect of it.
They're off.
And they're off. So here's what you can see. So if you guys notice, it went in play here, and the race is off, and you will now see the odds change as well as the race is going. So you could literally quote unquote watch the odds move and kind of understand a little bit of what's going on in the race itself. Okay?
Yeah, you need a little bit more liquidity for that to demonstrate itself, but absolutely, that's something. There are people in the world who think that who believe you can almost track the movement of those numbers and find a way to make bets on them in other parts of the world where they have a lot of liquidity. Maybe someday that's something that will happen on the Betfair US exchange. Meanwhile, Timberline in a good spot in the race, making a move up to the lead. They bet Timberline into 6-5 on the tote. So just consider the power of that. A few minutes ago, we're getting 5-2 on a horse who ends up going off at 6-5, and instead of cursing your bet and wishing you hadn't made it, when you can bet on the exchange, that's the price you get there as they're about to turn for home here at Woodbine.
Yeah, and Mike, given how it steamed, we probably would have wanted to hold on to it if it wasn't for a demo and explaining how to get some value out of it. But either way, if Timberline does not come in, we extracted some value out of that because we left ourselves with a chance to make 24 cents. Okay, it doesn't seem like a lot of the power small numbers, and she came in. So if you guys notice here, I know Timberline won probably even before the TV feed has come in because he or she is now at 101 here, where there's odds on the other horses. and that means that Timberline probably was the winner, if I'm mistaken.
Most definitely.
Yes. So the suspend here, everyone, is just once we allow betting up into a certain point, we don't allow betting into any inquiry or photo finish or any of that. So as soon as the horses cross, we suspend the race. No more betting is enabled, and then we look to settle the bets as the results come in.
Yeah, that's
perfect.
That 101 is a good illustration, folks. Just so you understand what that means, that's a price of 1 to 100. And when you're dealing with in-play wagering, something we'll be talking about a little bit, it might sound crazy to an American bettor, the idea that you'd ever take any sort of proposition at 1 to 100, and maybe it is, but you see that all the time in sporting events and especially in racing in the UK. There are people who make their living by trying to figure out when that horse has actually won and taking prices that low in running wagering. It's a fascinating and different part of the betting culture that may well end up getting a foothold here.
Yeah, and Bart, why don't you talk a little bit about the takeout, or the commission as you call it. It's the same on win, place, or show wagering, and it really is only affected on one part of the wager, right?
It is. So it is on win. It is on any win, place, show. Call it the published rate is 12%, but it's only on winning bets. So if you bet, you put $100 of handle into the market, and none of your horses came in, for example, we wouldn't charge you a commission. You're just putting the money in. The other thing we do is we only charge you what is, call it, your net position. So if you're thinking, if I want to, take a horse, watch the prices change. If I'm in an advantageous position, I want to hedge out of him, but then you think you're going to pay commission twice. You don't. What we do is we look at, if you bet for and bet against the same horse, what was your net position? So if you bet 54 and 25 against, then your net position was 25, and if that horse wins, we only charge the commission from the 25 that was generated at the odds that you had. So yeah.
It's also very notable that this commission, which is 12%, extremely competitive in the parimutuel environment. So this is an opportunity to get the best of the takeout in terms of being charged that commission and the way that you can manipulate your positions within the market, and you couple that with the ability to get fixed odds. I think a lot of sharp horse players, you can't underestimate how important for me that is, that ability to actually just get the price you want and not fall victim to those late odd slashes like the one we just saw with Timberline. These are two ways that you're going to be getting the best of it from day one on Betfair. You're going to be paying a lower commission, and you're going to be able to get fixed odds. These are the kind of tools that could take you and turn you into a winning horse player very quickly.
Yep, and real quick, there's another feature that if you click that kind of graph icon next to the horses, we show the price and volume over time. So you can track, if you start looking at the horse, or you put a bet down 10 minutes before post, you can see what's happening. And a neat little tool for everyone, right? If everyone's, Nate Silver fans and everything, it's all about probability. So we actually have an inverse access button that tells you, based on the odds of the horse, what is the implied percentage chance, i.e. the probability, that they will win the race. And as you can see here, people thought over time that this was a strong horse, Timberline. Luckily, we got him back here. And then during the race, you can see that, he might have not gotten out at the turn, but then obviously steamed out and then never looked back. And by the end of the race, it was a 100% chance to win. So it's a neat little tool there as well.
It is very interesting, and something that, again, in markets with big liquidity, too, can probably tell you a little something about the running style of the horse as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so we've got a couple questions. Some are logistical questions, and some are in terms of the takeout. One person wants to know, at the week's end, is there any other takeout for winnings, or it's just on the actual individual races?
It is just on the actual individual races. There's no monthly additional charge. Some of the things you might hear in the UK, there is a charge that people hear about, But again, the pricing is market specific. We wanted to bring something to the U.S. that was very easy to understand, not very complex. 12% on your win at your net exposed position. That's it. That's what the price point is. There's no hidden bells or whistles in terms of, we're going to, hit you up for a monthly. If you tend to win a lot, that we're going to get you with an extra charge. That's it.
That term exposure is something that Bart went quickly before, but that just represents the amount of money essentially that's exposed in the marketplace. You might call it your stake. You might just say the amount of money you're risking in any one market or on any given series of bets.
Yeah, and just one point on the exposure. The other great thing about the exchange is if you take $100 of your account and you put it on a horse, and you take $100 and you bet against the horse, in the tote you would have $200 at risk, quote unquote, in the market, and $200 would be credited from your account. But on the exchange, if you take one position and exactly the opposite, we in effect refund that original position into your bank, so you can use that money to either bet another horse or to take another trading position. So it's also, we always do the minimum amount. So whatever we know is the outcome, the minimum outcome, we get all the money back into your account so you can keep playing and keep trading.
One thing we haven't talked about, we haven't talked that much about the bet against concept. We did demonstrate it in the context of trading a position we already had. I definitely, Bart, want to hear your thoughts, and I certainly have some of my own thoughts about the benefits to horse players of being able to bet against.
Yeah, I think the most simple way to use bet against and how it's used is really you can bet against a horse on the pari-mutuel system, right? You have to make a series of bets for every other horse, which then effectively leaves you a bet against the horse that you didn't take your position on, right? You can do that, but it's a pain in the butt. It takes a long time and it takes a lot of calculation, where we show you the exact price to do that thing, and that's really if you just think a horse is overvalued. If you think a horse doesn't have a great chance to win the race, and you at a price point where you think people are betting for a too good a price, you just can bet against that horse, and in effect one click versus having to bet for all the other horses but that.
Yeah, that's not very often a practical thing to do, especially with the shifting odds. A lot of people on the tote system will try to leverage anti-opinions through multi-race wagers, but we all know how difficult that can be and how frustrating that can be when you go 5 deep in your pick whatever to go against that 4-5 favorite, and the 4-5 favorite doesn't win, but some 20-to-1 rag wins instead, and you end up with nothing. On the exchange, you have an opportunity to oppose that 4-5 favorite. Maybe you can't lay the 4-5 of the tote price. Maybe you can. But even if you have to lay 9-10 or even money on a horse you really don't like, to just be able to lock in that profit, to know that you're only going to be paying 12% on the bet, and be able to very efficiently leverage that opinion, it's a fantastic advantage, and I could see it coming in very handy in a number of situations.
We get a lot, and just to go with that, when you said your pick 6, we actually also get a lot of people, let's say, who have a pick 3, and then they get into the last race, and they have maybe 2 on the card. In the UK, they will use the exchange to lock in some of the potential profit that they've earned from getting the first 2 legs right. So they might lay a couple of the horses that they don't hold in their pick 3, and at least try to lock in a little bit of profit for the ticket that they were holding getting through the first 2 legs. So we see that happen a lot in the UK.
Yeah, you could imagine that scenario. You're single to a short price horse in the last leg of a pick 4, and you can see what your payoffs are, and they're extremely high. That same horse, maybe that horse is 4-5 on the tote also. You already know you're already going to get paid you're already going to get paid if that horse wins. So now you can figure out a way to at least get your stake back and get paid if that horse loses. So you're green on either side. It's just another important club in a horse player's bag.
Yeah. And again, for us, like as you can see here, you know, we're really pushing, you know, because the wallets, you do have to do a transfer, but because the wallets are connected, you know, we don't offer exotics on the exchange. It's very hard to do peer-to-peer exotic betting because of all the different permutations. So we actively encourage everyone, if you know, if you want to do maybe a hedge or an ARB or whatever, but you know, any type of exotic play, obviously. You know, you go right back to, you know, our sister site, Fornatale Bets, and let's say, you know, you made a good bet, you hit a nice value bet on Woodbine or the 5th race on the exchange. Just go, you can quickly transfer your money back into Fornatale Bets, and then, you know, play a couple of exotics in race 6 if you wanted to, with, you know, a couple clicks. So, you know, we definitely look to get that kind of, you know, exotic, you know, exotics, or that's where you know. That's the Fornatale Bets is the home of that, right? And you know, we hopefully, you know, allow the, you know, as seamless as we can to get to transfer the money back and forth to bet where you to bet the type of bets you want.
I think that's a great example of how exchange betting can help tote betting by tying in directly with bets, and also by hopefully, as it's done in the UK, stimulating a lot of interest in new potential players in these markets. Maybe we'll be able to get them to come into the game through the exchange, and they're going to end up using certain vehicles on the tote anyway. The exchange isn't just off on an island. It's integrated in this country within the whole system of betting, and I see it as being a net positive for everybody.
Yeah, and I don't succeed, you know, we don't succeed with this unless we bring in new customers and increase horse racing in general. So, you know, our marketing is really, you know, factored to try to get, you know, new types of betting people, introducing horse racing, you know, that kind of stuff. And we see some of it, right? So for the new customers that are coming in, you know, we've seen you know, some 25-year-olds. We definitely see a lot of mobile use, right, as compared to kind of some of the traditional statistics. So that's good. That's bringing in a new type of player, you know, younger people that are used to kind of the you know, the quick movement, you know, the instant gratification, and kind of in play, and some of these trading concepts, you know, would appeal to them.
Yeah, and let me ask a couple questions. One question circling back to the 12% takeout. I know that you guys did a lot of research and work to come to that number, and partly due to allowing you to give back to the track just the way, similar sort of a way that the parimutuel side does from their takeout. So talk a little about that, and talk a little bit about some of the players in the UK market that might be playing not necessarily at that same rate. How does that affect the market?
Yeah, so the question's very valid, right? So we did tons of research, and we wanted to make sure that we set a price point that wasn't punitive to the customer, that was in line with some, you know, with some of the existing price points, call it at the parimutuel side, and then maximize the amounts that we can give back to the tracks, right? So that's kind of where we arrived at the 12. As I mentioned before, you know, the UK side, you know, we price different by market. The United States is a different market with different rules, different takeouts, different track payouts, all of those things as compared to the UK, right? So we wanted to price it, you know, very market specific. So again, like I was saying, I wanted to keep it very simple: 12% on your win. That's it. You know, it's very easy, right? The UK has gotten, you know, much more complex given their market. So they have all sorts of different pricing schemes, and where they're, call it, if you look at just their base rate and you think, well, their base rate is lower maybe on paper, all right, than the US base rate. Again, there's tons of other different payments and other different things going that, you know, ultimately, you know, at the end of the day, you know, give or take, the effective rate at the end of the day for an average customer is about the same from the UK and the US if you look at just, you know, all the factors that go into it. But again, because it's different markets, you know, we have different pricing schemes.
Makes sense. One other question about the geolocation. Jim O'Neill wants to know what prevents a bettor from accessing his account outside of New Jersey by simply clicking that button stating that you are in New Jersey. What are the implications of trying to use it or using service outside of the state?
Yes. So that button is just there's two things. That click box is really so that you accept our terms and conditions in the use of the site. I didn't show all of the geolocation things kind of going on behind the scenes, but ultimately what we do is we ask you to turn on several settings in your browser and with your Wi-Fi connection that allows you to be identified to your location. So the direct answer to the question from Jim is that if he was outside of New Jersey, given the location settings that must be set for it to work and the Wi-Fi validating that, it would show a message that says, "Hi, we notice you have an account, but we notice that you're outside the state of New Jersey. Please go inside the state of New Jersey to continue using the site."
Gotcha. And there's another question from a different user asking why they have to use Wi-Fi. It's that geolocation setting that's the reason for that.
It is. They don't. And just let me be clear. You don't have to use Wi-Fi, but your Wi-Fi has to be on for our site to query your location using your Wi-Fi. So you can be hardwired if you want a fast connection, but your Wi-Fi has to be enabled such that we can use that to detect where you are.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Talk a little bit about some other situations. What happens if you place action either for or against a horse and they end up being a late scratch? Is the bet just nullified on each side?
In effect, yes. What we do is if everyone betting on a horse that scratches, obviously they get their funds back as you guys would call a canceled bet on the tote. And then in effect, what we do is then we adjust all the odds to account for that horse leaving the race. So some people had made matched bets with each other, like assuming that horse is in the race. And then if 5 minutes later the horse does not run, we have to, in effect, the odds are adjusted by what we call a reduction factor. So there will be times that you make a bet at 2.0, and then there will be some late scratches, and that if you win that bet, you'll go into your account and look, and the odds that you were paid are reduced slightly given the scratches that occurred between the time you made the bet and the time that the scratches occurred to the end of the race.
Got it. Makes total sense. And I'm guessing it's similar types of mathematics that are happening if there are things like dead heats, for instance, or
yes.
yeah. So go ahead.
Sorry, dead heats work exactly. We calculate dead heats almost like identically to how a dead heat would be calculated on a pari-mutuel system. Yes.
Perfect. Another question, what about computer-assisted wagering? Do you have any systems to allow people to connect to do that sort of thing yet, or is it all manual?
No. So yes, we were approved specifically to allow for an API connection, right? So the easiest way to explain that is a direct connection to data, right? That all the data that's coming onto this web page or our mobile platform, for example, you can in effect get that and query it directly for specific pieces of data that you would like. We don't offer any, call it quote-unquote third-party software. So in the UK, there's sites like BetAngel and some of these that have built kind of built-in strategies and things on top of this API. Those are not available in New Jersey, but a New Jersey resident can feel free to use our API to construct their own type of trading. If they want to have a different look than we have, if they want to look at graphs in a different way and they want to kind of play around with that stuff, by all means we allow them to do that and go for broke as long as they have a valid account.
Great, great. We have another question about betting against, and obviously in that last race where we had no horses at even money, even the favorite when he or she drifted down was say 6-5. you're still acting as the book in that sense. So you're not necessarily, so you're saying, okay, if I'm betting against a horse at 3-1, you're essentially taking the inverse of that. You're taking 1 to 3, or say 30 some odd cents on the dollar, right?
Yeah, that's right. Like, the easiest way to look is if I want Corey's best at 15 and I put down 2, that means I would win 28. If you wanted to lay Corey's best at the same inverse price, you'd have to put down 28 to win 2.
Right.
I think a good analogy that might help people understand if they're struggling with that idea a little bit is eBay, but with horse racing. In other words, you're essentially buying and selling the probabilities of these events. And so if you put a price up on there, if you want to sell your old toaster for $100, you can stick it up there, but ain't nobody going to match it. If you have a better sense of the market and put up something realistic, you have a chance to get a very good chance of getting matched. And so if you have a better sense of value than the competition, that's how you're going to make money in the long run, and Betfair is a fantastic tool to try to do that.
Yeah, you can put. I mean, that's exactly right. You're deciding to take a position, and the position is a higher probability to occur, right? There's a greater probability for an individual horse not to win the race than there is an individual horse to win the race, and therefore you must put up more stake to win a less profit because you're betting on a higher probability outcome. It's like betting max search. It would be like putting in Vegas, a favorite pitcher, for a very strong team pitching against, kind of the fifth rotated starter of a really crappy team, right? The money line, in effect, is going to be much higher for that. It's very similar.
And you'll also notice as you want to bet more and more, but when you're betting small amounts, you can probably count on getting bigger prices than if you're trying to get larger amounts matched in that market. The more you want to bet, the lesser of a price you're likely to have to pay, unless you find somebody who has the exact opposite opinion of you, and you can basically just bet them heads up, and the site takes its 12% commission. So it's very interesting how all the dynamics of exchange wagering works. I think people's heads might be spinning a little bit with all this new information. Again, this webinar is going to be archived. We'll hopefully be doing more of them. There's going to be a lot of questions asked and strategy discussed in the coming weeks and months and hopefully years, where we're talking about this stuff and the impact that exchange wagering is going to have. I know for me, I can probably help with a lot of folks' questions. If you want to reach out to me on Twitter, I can be found at @LoomsBoldly. Bart, what are the Twitter handles that folks are going to want to know for further questions they're going to have on the Betfair side and in terms of yourself?
Yeah, so you can always filter stuff through Betfair USA, which is our handle. It'll get to me. You can feel free to hit me, Bart Barden, up if you want. I would love to come back and if there was a series of questions that definitely shake out, and there's some other kind of topics. We didn't cover cash out too much. We didn't cover some specific green book strategies that I'd like to do at some point. So it just depends on what people like. I'm also happy to join again if everyone found this interesting. And then the other thing, just for everyone, is we definitely do have a series of videos here on the site right here in the educational video section. So for example, what is decimal odds? And we have our wonderful TVG host, Todd, we have a help in learning series.
Quick look at decimal odds.
So I won't run it, but basically we have a series of about 6 videos that teach you how making your first bet. What are decimal odds? What is a bet against? All of those things. So definitely, even if you just hit the site and look at the videos and kind of educate yourself a bit before you go in and play, that's one way to do it. And then again, I think they might know this, but then there's also obviously the simulator. And if you want to just basically play around the site and play with the exchange for free, in effect, without having to do anything and not sign up, we've created a race simulator of the exchange that allows you to load about 25 different races, start the race. You can watch the odds change. You can pause. You can, you can pause. You can bet You can see how it goes. You can see what happens. You can test a bunch of different strategies, in effect, with fake money. So this is another great learning tool and education tool on the exchange to help you as well.
I want that pause feature in real life. I have a feeling it would come in handy once or twice. Bart, is the educational material available to folks who aren't logged into the site? I could see folks in other states perhaps just curious about this, getting ready for the day when Betfair is available in more markets, wanting to learn now so the learning curve is less steep later. Is there a way that everybody can access some of those tools?
Yes, I'll send you. We have the videos obviously on site and for people who are logged in, but we also have them off of in effect on an open external site for just learning. So I'll send that link over after this, and if you want to just distribute it to all the attendees, I'm happy to do so.
Perfect.
Very cool.
A couple other questions. We didn't talk about what tracks, obviously Woodbine and Monmouth. Talk about some of the other tracks that are available, and we had a specific question about notice that there's no Meadowlands harness available. Any plans?
Very good. Very, very interesting question. So yes. So because the exchange is for the industry, we have to get specific approval from a track to allow us to offer their track into the exchange. Okay. So we have a series of tracks. We have about 16 to 20 tracks that have given us that approval, who run over the course of the year, obviously. So what's available depends on just what's running, plus who we currently have rights with. So again, as you can see here, we have we have Woodbine, Evangeline, Louisiana. We have Monmouth. We had Keeneland running a little bit in April during the closed beta. So we have these tracks. And we obviously are working feverishly to get as many more as we can to provide that experience for customers. On the harness side, it's actually very interesting. We will be offering Meadowlands, a harness, starting tomorrow as part of as we're doing the Monmouth opening. We're also doing in effect a Meadowlands opening. It's the first time that kind of a U.S. harness race has been offered on the exchange, even worldwide, really, except for large races. So it's another kind of interesting first, and some of the UK guys are actually, excited about it as well. So it will be there, and we just wanted to do some testing instead of offering it today, so it'll be up there on the site tomorrow.
That's great. What about, and I know New Jersey and California are the only ones that have approved exchange wagering. Obviously, New Jersey is ahead of California from the regulatory standpoint. Talk about your, as much as you can, plans to expand beyond just New Jersey residents.
Yes, so as you rightfully put, the regulator in the tango of expanding the exchange, the regulator is the leader. Okay, so we go as the state regulating bodies go. We're doing everything we can, obviously, to support those bodies, prove our case, share data, share the information that shows that we think this is a valuable product and is best for is a great product for the customer. But we have to take cues from the regulator pretty much. So we are obviously open. The platform is built such that adding states is not that much work. We did a lot of the heavy lifting to support New Jersey. So if we did get, let's say I woke up tomorrow, dream sequence happened, and California, New York, and Florida all of a sudden just said, hey, exchange wagering, welcome in our state. To get those up and going for those residents wouldn't take me probably more than 2 to 3 weeks. But again, the regulatory process is usually is the long pole there.
One of the concerns, Bart, that I've heard certain regulators bring up, I think I'd like to speak to this at some point in the webinar, is this idea that somehow by offering the bet against option, you and I have both slipped, I think, during the webinar and used the term lay, which is the term for bet against that's used in the United Kingdom. But for Betfair US, the term is just simply going to be to bet against a horse. Some have raised concerns that might lead to some malfeasance. I'm just curious to see if you think that's a valid concern.
Yeah, it isn't for the same way that I described betting against a horse, in the first place, right? Which is, in effect, we aren't betting. I think that there's an important distinction: is you're not betting a horse to lose the race. Like you cannot actually do that. You can bet a horse not to finish first, not to finish first or second, and not to finish first, second, or third, right? Which would be a bet against bet on win, place, or show markets. So that's it. It isn't anything that you can't do today, right, in a more complicated sense on the pari-mutuel system, right? The only difference is you're doing it and locking your odds on that bet. So it's identical. There would be no malfeasance to what is any malfeasance that is happening now. The exchange doesn't encourage any misdoings. It merely is just a different way, an easier way to wager on horses, in a just a different interface, right?
I think it's also important to point out the key difference. You mentioned how people can leverage an anti-opinion now. Certainly a bet like the trifecta affords that opportunity. And in the pari-mutuel pool with the trifecta, you could potentially, in a theoretical world where this might happen, where somebody might pull a big favorite to not be in a try, you could do that and not leave any footprints. What kind of footprints does Betfair capture if somebody were to try a move like that?
Yeah, the thing about Betfair and the technology is we have very, very robust. We take integrity very, very seriously. In the UK, there's the British Racing Authority, who we cooperate very closely with. We cooperate very closely with the NJRC. They have, in effect, real-time bet monitoring tools that are afforded to them. They can see every bet and every price that's going in on every horse, and by whom, if you will. Like so we have ultimate monitoring tools. Given the platform we have. And we work very closely with the regulating body. We empower them. We work with them. We take their direction. We provide them the tools. And ultimately, we cannot enforce anything. We are just we're a corporation, but we are as cooperative with any of the regulatory bodies as we can be. And the beauty of the innovation is then there's also innovation on the information that can be looked at and reviewed.
And one other question, noticing on Louisiana Downs, race 6 is not available. Do you want to explain why that might be?
Yes. So race 6 is most likely not available because there's a coupled runner. So currently, right now, if there's a coupled runner that has where one of the horses is not scratched, where there's two entries currently in the market, we will not offer that market. The reason is the rules for coupled runners are different in state by state, potentially in the U.S. as well as right now between the U.K. and New Jersey. So our hope is that we will eventually offer a coupled runner, and it is a feature that we're working on. But right now we can't offer it because it is very difficult to calculate. If a coupled runner scratches, it's treated much differently to UK rules as it is to New Jersey rules. And because you could have someone in the UK betting and someone in New Jersey betting on the same coupled runner pair, it creates a lot of headache. And to keep it simple and to keep it problem-free as we can, we're holding back offering those races until we have a good solution.
Any sort of time frame on that, or it's just going to be whenever it happens, it happens?
Yeah, no, it's going to be, we're definitely trying to get to it within the next, the next 2 to 3 months, right? Whether we do, it'll probably be baby steps, right? We might offer a coupled races if we know a horse is already scratched, and then therefore there's only one of the coupled runners in the race, and then both regions treat the race similarly at that point. So there's a couple of things that we can do to kind of get there quicker, and then again, the ultimate solution, we know what it is. It's just there's a lot of feedback going into the product, and we just need to prioritize which is most important for the customer.
Mike, we might have time for one more quick question, but we're just about out of time today. Do you have one more for us?
Just one question about bonuses. Just talk about how the bonuses work.
You mean like sign-up bonuses and stuff like that to the customer?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we have for new customers, right now we have sign-up bonuses. We were you would see some bonuses run in any given throughout the year. We kind of reserve the right to do that as as obviously a marketing tool and to get people to come over and try it. So yeah, we want to kind of incent people to come over and try it, and if they also if they're good customers as rewards and stuff like that. We don't have a published reward program necessarily where X amount of activity leads to X bonus or X free bets. But again, we're ultimately flexible, and we've built a bespoke product, and if there's super valuable customers that we have a couple of clubs in our bag to make sure that they're happy.
Excellent. All right. Well, that's all the time we have today. I want to thank Bart Barden for joining us and sharing so much insight on this new and exciting Betfair exchange platform. Hopefully, there'll be a lot more great information to come. They're launched, and I'm sure New Jersey residents are excited to get started. I want to thank Mike Hogan. I'm Peter Thomas Fornatale. Thanks to all of you for joining us on this daily racing form webinar presented in conjunction with Betfair about exchange wagering. You've been watching a webinar produced by drf.com.